Hey, no time to wait. It's great to be here, even if just remotely. There are two projects which I very briefly want to present to you. One is about audio publishing and the other one is about video publishing. Both of them are built around three key ideas. One is the idea of independence. So they're both developed outside of any proprietary, out of any company setting. But more importantly, to site operators, to people who use these tools to generate publications. These publications allow full autonomy, full self-control over these publications. So it's yours and yours only and cannot be taken away from you. The second key point is accessibility. They require both an absolute minimum of technical knowledge, at least in the context of sort of what they try to achieve. That means the barrier for access is a little bit higher than with the traditional, software as a service offerings, hosted offerings that we have on the market. But I think this is a crucial and necessary small trade-off to make in order to gain the first point, independence, and also the third point, which is now sustainability. So these tools are, on the one hand, when they run and also the things they generate, they are very light on resources. In the sense of emissions and so on, but more importantly, they function as an artifact that requires no ongoing technical effort to keep it running. So you can long-term archive these artifacts without any cost, and you can keep it online with almost no cost. So basically just you have to keep the server running, which can be virtually any web host, just any web host that delivers static sites. This will run just in the current context of our technology, in the context of standard web technology for forever, from a current perspective, of course. I would like to keep the presentations themselves really short, each of them, because I think otherwise in this remote setting it would get a little boring. And afterwards there will be just a few minutes of questions and answers still. I think there's a very exciting mix of people at the conference, so I'd be very curious to hear your takes, your questions, your comments, maybe even have some ideas where future development of FairCamp and Hyper8, which I'm both going to present, could head. So let's get started. FairCamp started out as an alternative to a platform called Bandcamp, which in contrast to Spotify very much centers itself around offering a streaming front end, which is more to sort of get a teaser of the material. And then in terms of actually consuming the material, it centers more around the idea of really making singular digital purchases or even physical purchases also. Which is financially very favorable to artists and labels, because this way they can really earn a livelihood also, which is not really the case with the current streaming venues. The basic functioning of FairCamp is that you basically have a folder structure. This holds audio files, which are ideally already tagged. You put also image, or you can put image files alongside these audio files. They are used as cover files then. And all of this is grouped then into folders, so to basically mark what constitutes a release, which bundle of audio files and image files. And basically you point FairCamp to this folder, and FairCamp is really just an app that you can install on your computer. And FairCamp then on its own scans this folder, reads out the tags, transcodes all the audio files, transcodes all the image files, and generates a fully functional finished website, basically with one command. And this outcome is just a folder. You can open this locally on your browser. You can also do this at any future point, right? It does not technically degrade or anything like that. And you can also just deploy this on a server. You just move it to a static file host, and then it basically runs out of the box without any further technical knowledge or maintenance that is needed to keep it running. This is, of course, a very simple take. So to get started, this makes it very easy to get into it. If you want to build on top of that, there's also a concept called the manifests. So you basically place simple text files in a structured data language called ENO alongside these audio files and image files. And with that, you can enable different features. The list is still growing, but for now, what you can do is, for instance, you can configure what downloads you have. You can enable and disable downloads. You can define whether they are just free there or whether you have to supply an unlock code to do a download. You can enable an RSS feed, an embed widget. You can, of course, adjust the visuals, so the theme, dark, light, different colors, and so on and so forth. And about the state of Faircamp, so right now this is used by over 100 artists and labels online to present their music and audio productions in general. And right now I'm intensely working on Faircamp in the course of an NLNet grant. So this is backed by the European Commission's Next Generation Internet Initiative. And yeah, this will be as a target Faircamp 1.0. Beyond Faircamp 1.0, I'm also very interested in improving the accessibility of Faircamp itself. So to provide, for instance, a graphical user interface to make it even easier to get into using Faircamp. And then beyond that, I'm also very much looking into possibly extending the use cases of Faircamp, so to broaden this a bit, so to make it appealing also for people who produce podcasts, ebooks, or in general just long format audio productions. Yeah, and I think that about wraps it up for Faircamp. At this point, maybe I also want to say that Faircamp wouldn't be where it is without really hundreds of great contributors who provided bug reports, tutorials, radio shows, even newspaper articles, and all that stuff. Just thank you so much. Faircamp wouldn't be where it is without that. Let's look at Hyper 8. This was conceptualized as an alternative to the dominant players on the market, such as Vimeo, such as YouTube, and also as an alternative to already great alternatives that we have, like PeerTube, for instance, which is a great free software and federated video publishing system. The aspect that Hyper 8 also wants to add here, though, is that often these systems really rely on either you having the capacity and technical expertise to keep it running, or you sort of relying on community infrastructure, which might not be funded that well, which might involve people that are slowly burning out, which might include, I don't know, social problems. It's just a reality that often these alternatives that we build, they also sort of have these breaking points. And to sort of in an environment where this is important for you, that sort of you're not dependent on these things working out, and where you want to have really a long-term stability perspective, Hyper 8 is basically the idea to tackle that. It works in general by offering a modular building block system. So a Hyper 8 site can be just a video. It can be a playlist of videos, and it can be a so-called collection. And a collection is really a free hierarchical organization where you can have any number of videos, any number of playlists, and again, any number of sub-collections. So this allows you to model any sort of hierarchy that you envision. What is also notable about Hyper 8, also in contrast to Faircamp for now, is that it works with a GUI. You can run Hyper 8 in a browser. There's just one small gotcha that right now, due to just development state, you still have to do one terminal invocation to get the interface running. This will be changed in the future, of course. Yeah, and from there on, you can basically, in this interface, just load your videos, encode them to different resolutions. So you also have full control, sort of what fidelity you offer for videos, which is, I think, crucial if you do like self-hosting, because you don't want to just by default throw out, I don't know, 60 frames per second 4K videos for, I don't know, lo-fi talk recordings or something like that. And in this interface, you also provide descriptions for your videos, for your collections, for your playlists. You can change the sorting and all that. And again, you can do most of the grouping in this modular building block system from the interface. And what is also interesting, I think, is that you don't actually have to use this graphical user interface, but it's a hybrid model. So everything you do in the graphical user interface is also reflected in the folder and file structure. And you can basically edit it also there, or just build it directly from there. You can, so in your file explorer, you can really just move around video files. You can put them into folders and annotate them again with simple structured text data. And this way you can also build a site without any dependence on the interface. And then with a single command line invocation, again, you can create this static website asset, which can be deployed and long-term archived at zero cost, basically. At the state currently in terms of adoption, so we have a few early adopters, and most notably we have the video archive for the Repp magazine, which was the project partner with which we kickstarted this project, also with some great support from the Austrian Ministry BMKÖS. Thanks a lot for that. We really couldn't have got it off the ground without that, sorry. And yeah, what is the perspective then? If the funding pans out, which I don't know yet, but will soon, in 2025 there will be extensive work to get the app fully integrated as a desktop app, so that this step of having to require the terminal briefly to get into the interface falls away. And I want to do a lot of work on subtitles, which are already slightly integrated, but it's really just a makeshift prototype thing. And so that should be fully integrated, also with support for transcripts, also searchable transcripts ideally, so maybe even offering some functionality that we don't see in current platforms even. And yeah, I think there's also some work on the playlists that is waiting to be done. And yeah, this is pretty much Hyper 8 video system in a nutshell.
Hi, Simon, you're on screen now.
Hey there. Hi again in real time.
Any questions for Simon?
Hi, Simon. It's less a question, more than a, these things look very amazing. So as someone who's in a band myself and does video stuff, cool. Thank you very much. I'm totally looking forward to looking into it. And then I'll have questions.
I think your question was just more of a compliment, and that this is fascinating. If you have any resources you want to share about how to learn more, we would take them.
Question from the live stream. What are the most requested features not implemented yet for FairCamp?
Okay, I think one thing that was requested a lot was actually integration of ActivityPub, so to connect FairCamp into the Fediverse. The catch there, though, is that I'm not entirely sure if and in which way this would happen. But sort of off the top of my head, this is like the most requested feature, I think.
Thank you so much, Simon. Unfortunately, this is all the time we have. Coming up next is Ross Spencer with... Thank you. Oh, sorry, my bad.